The 10 Unresolved Biblical Enigmas. Throughout the centuries, numerous enigmas and mysteries have arisen that defy our understanding and invite us to explore beyond the obvious. Below, we present the 10 unresolved biblical enigmas. Number 10. The mystery of the authorship of the Psalms. Although traditionally attributed to David, the renowned king and poet of Israel, the reality is much more complex and enigmatic. Of the 150 Psalms that make up the book, it is recognized that David wrote approximately half, but the rest remains shrouded in uncertainty. One of the most fascinating theories is that many of the Psalms were composed by multiple authors over several centuries, spanning diverse experiences, emotions, and historical contexts. This fact raises profound questions about the transmission and compilation of these sacred texts. Some Psalms contain references to events and circumstances that seem to place them in times later than David's era, suggesting that other writers contributed to this collection over time. Additionally, there are linguistic and stylistic hints that point to different periods in Hebrew history. Academic research has explored various hypotheses regarding the authorship of the Psalms, considering figures as prominent as Solomon or Asaph, to anonymous scribes and poets inspired by the divine spirit. However, no theory has completely resolved this age-old enigma. Number 9. The meaning of numbers and symbols in the Apocalypse. From the 7 seals to the 4 horsemen of the Apocalypse, numbers and symbols play a crucial role in apocalyptic narrative, revealing spiritual truths and hidden meanings. For example, the number 7, ubiquitous in the book, represents divine perfection and totality, manifested in the 7 spirits of God, the 7 candlesticks, and the 7 churches. Likewise, the 4 horsemen, described in the Apocalypse as bearers of conquest, war, famine, and death, symbolize the challenges and tribulations humanity faces throughout history, as well as the divine judgment preceding the glorious return of Christ. The number 12 also features prominently in the Apocalypse, representing fullness and perfection in the context of the 12 tribes of Israel and the 12 apostles of Jesus Christ. The 12 gates and 12 foundations of the New Jerusalem testify to the completeness of God's people and their final redemption. One of the most intriguing aspects is the use of numbers like 7, 12, and the number of the beast, 666. These numbers not only have numerical meanings but are also laden with religious and cultural symbolism in the context of Judaism and early Christianity. The number 7, for example, is repeatedly used to represent fullness, divine perfection, and totality. In the Apocalypse, we find the 7 seals, the 7 trumpets, and the 7 bowls of God's wrath, all symbolizing the complete fulfillment of God's plan for human history. The number 12 is also significant, representing the fullness of the community of God's followers. In the Apocalypse, we see the 12 tribes of Israel and the 12 gates of the New Jerusalem, symbolizing the unity and completeness of God's redeemed people. On the other hand, the number 666, known as the number of the beast, has generated diverse speculations and theories throughout history. Some interpret it as a coded reference to historical figures, political leaders, or oppressive systems of their time, while others see it as a broader symbol of opposition to divine power and human corruption. Number 8. The location of Mount Sinai. Mount Sinai has been the subject of intense debate and speculation over the centuries. Although the Bible offers detailed descriptions of Moses' experience at this pivotal location, the exact location of the mount has confounded scholars and archaeologists. According to the biblical narrative in the book of Exodus, Mount Sinai is associated with the region of the Sinai Desert, located in the Sinai Peninsula, northeast of Egypt. However, despite this geographical reference, the precise identification of the mount in question remains uncertain. Various theories have emerged over time, proposing locations ranging from Mount Horeb to Jebel Musa, Mount Karkam, and other locations in the Sinai Peninsula. The arguments for each site are based on archaeological, geographical, and textual evidence, but so far, no theory has been definitively confirmed. The search for Mount Sinai not only involves historical and archaeological interest but also raises theological and spiritual questions about the significance of this place in salvation history. For believers, Mount Sinai represents a crucial point in the relationship between God and His people, where the covenant that established the foundations of Jewish and Christian faith was sealed. Number 7. The mystery of the serpent in Eden. One of the most common interpretations is to see the serpent as an allegorical figure of evil or the devil, who takes this form to deceive Eve and lead humanity into disobedience. This view is based on other biblical references that identify Satan as the ancient serpent, or the bronze serpent, in the New Testament. However, there are also alternative interpretations that view the serpent as a literal creature, perhaps manipulated by demonic forces to carry out its deception. This perspective raises questions about the nature of animals in Eden and the extent of their communication with humans. Additionally, some interpretive traditions see the serpent as a symbol of wisdom or knowledge, suggesting that its role in the story of Eden may be more complex than it appears at first glance. In this sense, Eve's temptation could be understood as an act of seeking wisdom or autonomy, rather than simply a fall into sin. Regardless of the interpretation adopted, the mystery of the serpent in Eden invites us to reflect on the nature of good and evil, human freedom, and moral responsibility. It also reminds us of the importance of remaining vigilant against temptations and deceptions that lurk in our daily lives. Number 6. The identity of the Son of God in Genesis chapter 6 verse 2. The verse in question states that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose, in the book of Genesis chapter 6 verse 2. The identity of these sons of God has been subject to various interpretations throughout history. A common interpretation suggests that the sons of God are fallen angels, celestial beings who disobeyed God and intermingled with humanity, resulting in a generation of hybrid beings known as the Nephilim. This view is based on the interpretation of other biblical passages that speak of the fall of rebellious angels. Another interpretation proposes that the sons of God are descendants of Seth, the righteous line following Adam and Eve, while the daughters of men would be descendants of Cain, the unrighteous line. According to this perspective, the passage emphasizes the division between the righteous and the unrighteous in humanity. There is also a less common interpretation suggesting that the sons of God are human rulers or political leaders who self-identified as divine or semi-divine, taking wives from among the daughters of men to consolidate their earthly power. Number 5. The meaning of the Dead Sea Scrolls. These scrolls were first discovered in the 1940s and 1950s in caves near the Dead Sea, in the Qumran region of Israel. They are believed to have been written and hidden by a sectarian Jewish community known as the Essenes, who lived in that area around the 1st century BCE to the 1st century CE. The Dead Sea Scrolls contain a variety of texts, including fragments of nearly every book of the Old Testament, as well as apocryphal works and community writings. These documents offer a unique insight into the life and beliefs of the Qumran community, as well as shed light on the historical and religious context in which Judaism developed in biblical times. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Dead Sea Scrolls is their impact on understanding the Bible and its transmission over time. The oldest manuscripts of the Hebrew Bible previously known dated from several centuries after the supposed time they were originally written. However, the Dead Sea Scrolls include much older copies that have allowed scholars to compare and contrast biblical texts over time, leading to a better understanding of their transmission and preservation over the centuries. Additionally, the Dead Sea Scrolls also contain texts not found in the standard Hebrew Bible, which has led to increased interest in apocryphal literature and ancient Jewish writings. These documents offer a unique insight into the beliefs and religious practices of the time, as well as shed light on the development of early Judaism and Christianity. Number 4. The Star of Bethlehem. The story of the Star of Bethlehem is found in the Gospel of Matthew, where it is narrated that a group of magi, wise men, or astronomers from the east saw a star in the sky that led them to Jerusalem in search of the newborn king of the Jews. This event, traditionally associated with the birth of Jesus, has fascinated believers and scholars alike for centuries. The mystery of the Star of Bethlehem has generated numerous theories and interpretations over time. Some suggest it could have been a comet, a supernova, a planetary conjunction, or even a completely unique and supernatural celestial phenomenon. However, no explanation has been entirely satisfactory, and the mystery persists to this day. One of the most popular theories is that the Star of Bethlehem was a planetary conjunction, an event in which two or more planets align in the night sky, creating a notably bright appearance. This theory finds support in the fact that ancient astronomers were able to predict these events with some accuracy, and a planetary conjunction could have been interpreted as a divine sign by those familiar with astrology. Another possibility is that the Star of Bethlehem was a supernatural phenomenon, a direct sign of divine intervention to mark the birth of the Messiah. This interpretation highlights the miraculous nature of the event and its theological significance in the context of divine salvation. Number 3. The identity of the author of the Book of Hebrews. One of the oldest theories is that the Apostle Paul was the author of the Book of Hebrews. This idea is based on similarities in style and content between Hebrews and Paul's letters, as well as internal references suggesting a close relationship with the apostle. However, others argue that differences in style and the absence of a direct claim of authorship by Paul make this theory questionable. Another theory suggests that the author could have been some other Christian leader of the time, possibly one familiar with the Jewish community and its religious tradition. Figures such as Barnabas, Apollos, or even Priscilla have been speculated as possible authors, although none of these hypotheses have solid evidence. A third possibility is that the Book of Hebrews was written by an anonymous author who preferred to keep their identity secret. This theory suggests that the author could have been a respected member of the Christian community who wished to focus attention on the message itself rather than on their own person. Number 2. The fate of the lost tribes of Israel. According to the biblical account, the 12 tribes of Israel, descendants of the sons of Jacob, divided into two kingdoms after the reign of King Solomon: the kingdom of Israel in the north and the kingdom of Judah in the south. In 722 BCE, the kingdom of Israel was conquered by the Assyrian Empire, and many of the tribes were deported, becoming lost to history and legend as the lost tribes. The fate of these tribes has been a subject of speculation and debate over the centuries. Some argue that they were completely absorbed by other cultures, thus losing their Israelite identity. Others suggest they scattered across the world, carrying with them their traditions and beliefs, and that communities descended from these tribes may still exist in remote places. One of the most intriguing theories is the idea that some of these lost tribes may have found their way to the Americas long before the arrival of Christopher Columbus, based on supposed cultural and linguistic parallels between Native American peoples and ancient Israelite traditions. However, concrete evidence about the fate of the lost tribes remains scarce and controversial. Although numerous theories have been proposed and extensive research has been conducted, the mystery of what truly happened to these tribes remains unresolved. Number 1. The Ark of the Covenant. According to Scripture, the Ark of the Covenant was a wooden chest overlaid with gold that contained the tablets of the law given by God to Moses on Mount Sinai, along with other sacred objects. This ark was considered the tangible manifestation of divine presence among the people of Israel, and it was attributed extraordinary powers, including the ability to grant victory in battle and protection to those who possessed it. Throughout biblical history, the Ark of the Covenant played a crucial role in numerous events, from the desert wanderings to the conquest of the Promised Land. However, its final fate became an unresolved enigma. According to the biblical account, the Ark was placed in the Holy of Holies of Solomon's Temple in Jerusalem. However, After the destruction of the temple by the Babylonians in 587 BCE, the fate of the ark becomes uncertain. There is no explicit mention of its fate in subsequent scriptures, which has led to numerous speculations and theories about its whereabouts. Some believe that the ark was destroyed along with the temple, while others suggest that it was hidden or taken to a safe place before the destruction. There are also theories speculating about its possible relocation to Ethiopia, where the Ethiopian Orthodox Church claims to possess it in the Church of St. Mary of Zion in Aksum.